The grand hall of Orion Station 9 was filled with a strange silence. Hundreds of species from across the galaxy sat in rows, their faces hidden behind masks and glowing visors. The air shimmered with tension, and the faint hum of anti-gravity lights echoed above. In the center of the hall stood a transparent energy cage, glowing faintly blue, holding something alive. The auctioneer, a tall alien with metallic skin and 4 eyes, raised his thin hand. His voice echoed through the speakers, sharp and cold. Lot number 437, captured from the outer rim, classified as wild species, dangerous, untamed, unknown. The crowd murmured. Even the toughest bounty hunters leaned back. Inside the cage, the creature barely moved. Only a pair of glowing golden eyes stared back, eyes that looked almost human. No one spoke. The auctioneer continued. Starting price 10,000 credits. 50% off due to risk factors. He paused, waiting for a bid. But the hall stayed quiet. For a moment, time itself seemed to stop. At the back of the room sat Elias Crane, a human trader from Earth. He wasn't rich, nor powerful. He had traveled here hoping to buy small tech scraps, maybe an old engine core, maybe a droid part. But this was different. Something about that alien in the cage made his heart beat faster. He couldn't explain it. The feeling that the creature was watching him directly, even from behind the thick energy field. The golden eyes followed him as if begging. Or warning. The auctioneer looked annoyed. No bidders? Very well, we move on to— Wait, the voice came from Elias. Quiet, but it carried across the room. Heads turned. Several alien buyers hissed in disbelief. You wish to place a bid? The auctioneer asked, surprised. Elias swallowed hard. He didn't know why he spoke. His instincts screamed don't, but his mouth said, yes, I'll take the alien. Laughter filled the hall. Deep, cruel laughter from all sides. A reptilian merchant leaned toward his friend. Another foolish human. He'll be dead before sunrise. The auctioneer raised one eyebrow, or at least what looked like an eyebrow, sold, to the human trader. The lights dimmed. The cage flickered and powered down. The golden-eyed alien turned its head toward Elias, slowly, silently, and for the first time it smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. After the auction, Elias walked through the cargo bay, his mind racing. Why did he do it? 50% off sounded like a deal. But what kind of deal involved a living being no one dared to buy? The shipping crate hummed behind him as security drones carried it to his small ship, the Sparrowhawk. He tried to glance inside the crate, but the energy locks flashed red. Unauthorized access, the console warned. He sighed and rubbed his temples. What have I done? He whispered. Suddenly the crate moved, just slightly. The lights on his ship flickered. The temperature dropped. A faint sound came through the metal, a whisper soft but clear. Elias. He froze. No one should know his name. Not here. Not this far from Earth. The whisper came again, colder this time. Elia, you shouldn't have raised your hand. He stumbled back. The crate trembled harder now, as if something inside was trying to escape. Then silence. Only the hum of the ship filled the air again. Elias stared at the container. He didn't realize it yet. But that single moment, that one reckless bid, had changed the fate of humanity forever. The hum of the Sparrowhawk filled the dark cabin as Elias floated through the narrow corridor. Outside the windows, space stretched like an endless ocean. Silent, black and infinite. He had been flying for 2 hours since leaving the auction station. But even now his hands still trembled. Every few seconds his eyes flicked toward the cargo bay door. Behind it, the crate. Inside it, the alien. Elias had seen strange things before. Pirates, machines with human faces, even cloned soldiers from old wars. But this was different. The memory of those golden eyes haunted him. They didn't look like the eyes of a beast. They looked intelligent. They looked aware. He poured himself a drink and something cheap and burning, and sat down at the control panel. The autopilot's lights blinked softly. He tried to focus on the flight path. Tried not to think, but then the voice came again. Elias. He froze. The sound came through the ship's speakers this time, faint, echoing, almost like static. He turned the volume down, checked the radio frequency. Nothing. Then again, whispering, soft and cold. Elias. Why did you buy me? He jumped up. Computer. Run diagnostics. Is there a transmission? Negative, the AI replied. No external signal detected. Elias felt his throat tighten. The voice wasn't coming from the comms. It was inside his ship. Maybe even inside his mind. He walked toward the cargo bay, his boots echoing on the metal floor. The lights flickered slightly as he opened the door. The crate sat in the center of the room, humming with low power. The surface glowed faint blue. He stepped closer. Who are you? He said quietly. No reply. Are you alive? He tried again, a pause. Then slowly the crate's locks began to click open by themselves. Elias stepped back. No, stop, too late. The final lock hissed and the crate lid rose, releasing a gust of cold air. Inside, the alien sat perfectly still. The same golden eyes met his again, but now he could see her clearly. Yes, her. The creature looked almost human. Pale skin, silver hair that floated softly like it was alive, and faint glowing patterns across her arms. She tilted her head. You shouldn't have freed me. Elias blinked. I didn't. You raised your hand, she said, voice echoing in his mind and through the air at once. That was enough, she stood. No chains, no weapons, no armor. Yet Elias felt a wave of pressure push against him, invisible but heavy, like gravity bending around her. His glass fell from his hand and shattered. What are you? He whispered. She smiled faintly. Once your kind called us the architects. But that was before your world burned. He frowned. Architects? That's impossible. They're myths, old stories from before the Galactic War. Her eyes glowed brighter. Myth doesn't speak your name, human. Elias stepped back. What do you want from me? She turned her head slightly as if listening to something far away. Not from you, with you. The war that ended 1,000 years ago is starting again. You bought me, so now you're part of it. The lights flickered again, harder this time. The ship's alarm blared. Warning, energy surge detected. Reactor instability. Elias ran to the console. What did you do? Not me, she said calmly. They found me. Who? Before he could finish, the ship shook violently. A red light flashed on the scanner. Multiple contacts approaching fast. Elias stared at the screen. Pirates? The alien shook her head. Hunters. Through the viewport, Elias saw dark shapes appear, small, sharp ships with no signal IDs. Their engines burned red like fire in the void. They're locking weapons. Elias shouted. Computer, activate shields. The AI buzzed. Shields offline. Unknown interference detected. He looked at the alien. She closed her eyes, calm as ever. You wanted to know who I am, she whispered. Now they will show you why they fear me. Outside, one of the hunter ships fired, a pulse of energy bright enough to blind. But before it hit, the alien raised her hand. Time seemed to bend. The pulse froze in space, hung there like a glowing stone, then in an instant reversed direction and struck the hunter ship instead. It exploded in silent fire. Elias could only stare. The alien turned her gaze back to him. They won't stop. More will come. You have chosen a dangerous path, Elias Crane. He swallowed. Then tell me what to do. She smiled again, softer this time. Survive. The ship shook again as another explosion rocked the void. The alien's eyes glowed like suns. Outside, the hunters circled closer. Inside, Elias realized the truth. This wasn't a rescue. It was the beginning of war. The ship Sparrowhawk drifted through the burning trail of debris. The dark void around it pulsed with fading red light. The remains of the hunter ships that had attacked only minutes ago. Elias sat frozen in the pilot's seat, staring at the wreckage. His hands still shook. He had seen battles before, but never like this. The alien, and the one he bought for half price, had stopped time, bent energy, and destroyed entire ships with nothing but a glance. Now, she stood beside him, quiet, her silver hair flowing as if touched by invisible wind. Her golden eyes looked distant, almost sad. Elias finally found his voice. You killed them. Her tone was calm. They were not alive, he frowned. Not alive? I saw them. They fired on us. They were machines, she said softly. Built by the hunters, ancient servants of the Dominion. They track me across galaxies. Elias turned toward her. Why? What did you do? She met his gaze. I survived. The ship's warning light blinked again. Hull breach in Sector 4, the AI reported. Shields offline. Elias jumped up, heading toward the lower deck. The alien followed, her bare feet making no sound on the metal floor. The corridor flickered with broken lights as they reached the damaged section. Smoke filled the air. Elias grabbed a repair kit. If we don't fix this, we'll lose oxygen. The alien touched the wall instead. The metal shimmered, melted, and then reformed, smooth and whole again. Elias stared in shock. How? She looked at him. Matter remembers shape if you ask it gently. He blinked. That's impossible. She tilted her head slightly. So is surviving the void. Yet here we are. When the repairs were done, they sat in the dim light of the mess cabin. Elias poured himself water this time, his hands still unsteady. He studied her carefully. You said you were an architect. What does that mean? She closed her eyes for a moment as if remembering something ancient. Long before humans reached the stars, we built the gates between worlds. We shaped planets, tamed suns. But when your kind began to rise, the Dominion feared you. They ordered our extinction. Some of us obeyed, some hid. I ran, Elias leaned forward, and they've been hunting you ever since. She nodded. For 1,000 years, he shook his head in disbelief. Then why were you on that auction? Why would they sell you? Her lips curved in a faint smile. Because I let them, Elias frowned. You let them capture you? Yes, the Dominion no longer fears what it understands. I wanted to see what had become of humans. I wanted to know if you still had courage. Elias felt a strange chill. And I'm your test? She looked into his eyes. You raised your hand when no one else dared. Suddenly, the radar beeped. Elias turned to the console. A signal flashing on the screen. Another ship approaching fast. Not again, he muttered. But the alien placed a hand on his arm. Wait, this one is human. Moments later, a transmission came through, the crackly, rough, but clear. This is Captain Mira Voss of the Starhound. Identify yourself. Elias quickly answered, Trader Vessel Sparrowhawk. Elias Crane speaking. The voice paused. Elias Crane? You're far from any trade routes. What's your cargo? Elias hesitated. He glanced at the alien. She watched him silently, her eyes unreadable. Just old scrap, he said. Nothing special. The transmission crackled again. You're lying. We've tracked a massive energy spike from your ship. Open your bay doors or we'll board. Elias cursed under his breath. They'll scan us. The alien's expression didn't change. Let them. What? Elias whispered. If they find you, she smiled faintly. Maybe it's time they did. Within minutes, a docking clamp locked onto the Sparrowhawk. The sound of boots echoed as soldiers entered, armed and alert. At their center walked a tall woman in a dark command suit, Captain Voss. Her eyes were sharp. Her face cold. Elias Crane, she said. You're under inspection for illegal transport of biological entities. Elias raised his hands. I didn't. Then she saw her, right standing calmly behind Elias, golden eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Captain Voss froze. Her soldiers raised their weapons instantly. Contain it, she shouted. The alien didn't move. You still point weapons at what you fear, she said softly. That hasn't changed, Voss's voice trembled. You're supposed to be extinct. Elias looked between them. You know her? Voss didn't answer. Her eyes stayed locked on the alien. We all do, she whispered. Every cadet learns her name. She's the reason the Dominion fell once before. The air turned heavy. The alien's gaze darkened. And this time, she said, it will fall again. The soldiers stepped back. Lights flickered. The ship began to shake. Elias could feel the hum of unseen energy building again. Deep, ancient, alive. He realized one thing. He hadn't bought a prisoner. He had bought a weapon. The Sparrowhawk hung in orbit above a dying moon. Outside, the last fire from the battle drifted like red dust. Inside, silence ruled the ship. The soldiers from the Starhound stood frozen, their weapons shaking. Captain Voss kept her eyes on the alien. Elias could hear only the low hum of the engines and his heartbeat. The alien's golden eyes reflected the starlight. Calm, unblinking, ancient. Finally, Captain Voss broke the silence. Your name, she said, voice low but steady. It's written in every Dominion archive. They called you Seren 9, the fallen star. The alien nodded once. That was the name they gave me when they feared what I could create. Elias frowned. Seren 9? What does that mean? Voss answered without looking at him. She was one of 9 architects who built the first stargates. Legends say she turned against the Dominion when they used her designs to destroy worlds. Seren's expression darkened. I built bridges, not weapons. They twisted my work into death, so I ended their empire. The lights flickered. A soft vibration moved through the ship, like a heartbeat that wasn't mechanical. Voss raised her weapon again. You destroyed planets. Billions died. Seren tilted her head. Did they tell you why? Or only what suited their control? The captain didn't answer. Her soldiers looked at one another, unsure. Elias stepped forward. Enough, all of you, listen. We need to survive, not argue history. But Seren's gaze didn't move from Voss. You're afraid because your masters still whisper their lies in your mind. But look around, Captain. Your dominion is dust, and your fear keeps it alive. Voss's voice cracked. Then why are they still hunting you? Seren's golden eyes softened. Because I left something behind. The ship trembled again, this time harder. Alarms screamed through the hall. Unidentified warp signature approaching, the AI reported. Elias ran to the console. They found us again. Seren closed her eyes. No, not hunters. Something older. On the radar, a single shape appeared, massive, triangular, glowing with pale blue light. The Dominion symbol shimmered across its hull. Voss paled. That's impossible. The flagship Vigilance was destroyed centuries ago. Seren whispered. Nothing built by fear ever truly dies. The Vigilance sent a transmission. A deep metallic voice filled the ship. Seren 9, return the core or this world will burn again. Elias blinked. Core? What core? Seren looked down at her hands. Light pulsed faintly under her skin. I am the core. Before anyone could react, the Vigilance fired. A beam of white light cut through space, hitting the moon below. The surface exploded in a silent wave of fire. Elias shouted, We have to move! Voss's soldiers scrambled. Engines online. But the ship wouldn't respond. Systems flickered. The AI spoke in panic. External control override detected. Seren stepped forward. They are trying to take me back. Elias grabbed her shoulder. Then stop them. You've done it before. Her voice trembled. First time since he met her. I can't, not alone. I burned my power once to break free. What's left can destroy us all if I use it again. Voss clenched her jaw. Then give it everything you have. Better to die free than kneel. Seren's golden eyes met Elias's. Do you agree, human? He hesitated, breathing fast. He remembered the auction, the way she had looked at him, the whisper that knew his name. If there's a chance to live, take it. If there's a chance to fight, I'll stand with you. Seren smiled faintly. Then hold on. The deck exploded in light. Gravity vanished. For a heartbeat, the ship hung still, and then the stars twisted. Seren raised both hands. Energy streamed from her body, wrapping the ship in golden fire. The Vigilance fired again, but the beam bent, folding around the Sparrowhawk like liquid glass. Time slowed. Elias saw memories flash inside the light. Cities floating above oceans. Humans and architects building together. Laughter, war, fire, ruin, and finally, silence. The light faded. The Sparrowhawk was gone. When Elias opened his eyes, the stars were different. The scanners showed no known coordinates. The Vigilance, the moon, everything gone. Voss's voice shook. Where are we? Seren's eyes glowed softer now, like dying embers. Beyond the map. A place even the Dominion cannot follow. Elias leaned back, still breathless. You saved us. Seren looked at her hands again, the light fading from her skin. No, I've only delayed the end. Voss frowned. Then what now? Seren turned toward the window where a strange star pulsed in the distance, bright and alive. We go there, she said. That is where the last architect sleeps. And if she wakes, the galaxy will remember what fear truly means. The Sparrowhawk floated in the black quiet beyond all known maps. Around it, stars shimmered in strange colors, violet, green, and gold. They looked alive, like eyes watching from the dark. The galaxy's noise was gone. No radio, no signals, no ships. Only silence. Elias stood at the window, staring at the glowing star ahead. It pulsed every few seconds like a giant heartbeat in space. That's where we're going? He asked softly. Seren nodded. Her golden eyes reflected the star's light. Yes, the last of my kind sleeps there. Her name is Leora. Captain Voss crossed her arms. If she's another like you, are we saving her or waking another war? Seren didn't look back. That depends on which part of her wakes first. As the ship moved closer, space began to shimmer. The scanners went wild. Sensors can't read anything, Voss said. It's like reality's bending. Seren touched the control panel and the readings calmed. The architect's field protects her. It bends time around the body so death never arrives. Elias frowned. Like a stasis pod? A dream, Seren corrected. She dreams the shape of her world and it obeys. The ship entered the light. Everything outside turned white for a heartbeat, and then they saw it. A massive structure floated around the star, half machine, half stone. Towers curved in spirals, each glowing with faint blue veins. It looked ancient and alive at once, breathing light through cracks in its surface. Elias whispered, "It's beautiful." Voss muttered, "Or a grave." The ship landed on one of the platforms. The airlock opened, revealing a long bridge that led into the shining structure. Gravity felt heavier here, as if the place itself resisted visitors. Every step echoed like footsteps inside a giant heart. Elias noticed carvings on the walls, symbols glowing faintly, moving like liquid. "They look like stars," he said. Serene smiled sadly. "They are. Every symbol marks a system we built and lost." They reached a huge circular chamber. In the center lay a crystal cocoon, tall as a tower, floating above the floor. Inside it, a figure slept, female, silver-skinned, covered in glowing threads. Her chest rose and fell slowly as if she breathed galaxies. Elias felt small. "That's her?" Serene nodded. "The one who dreamed the first gate." Voss stepped closer. "And now you want to wake her?" Serene hesitated. "I don't want to, I must. The Dominion has found ways to survive. Without her, they will rise again." Elias frowned. "And if she's not like you anymore?" Serene looked at the sleeping figure. "Then we'll all wish she never woke." She raised her hands. The chamber's symbols flared with golden light. The air trembled. Dust rose and hung still. Elias shielded his eyes. "What's happening?" Seren's voice echoed like thunder and whisper together. "I'm unbinding the dream." Cracks appeared on the cocoon. A deep hum shook the floor. Then the crystal shattered silently, pieces floating like feathers. The sleeping architect opened her eyes. They were not gold. They were black. The light died. A wave of force threw everyone back. Elias hit the wall, gasping. Voss's soldiers screamed as their weapons melted into smoke. Seren stood firm, her glow flickering weakly. "Leora," she said, "it's me." The other's voice was slow, deep and heavy, like an echo from the beginning of time. "I dreamed peace." "Why have you broken it?" Seren stepped closer. "Because the Dominion still lives. I need your strength again." Leora's expression hardened. "Strength built the Dominion. We created monsters and called them order. Why return to the curse?" Elias tried to stand. "We're not like them," he shouted. "Humans fight for life, not control." Leora turned to him, studying his face. For a moment, the darkness in her eyes softened. "A human," she whispered. "You carry their fire still." Serene reached out. "Help us, sister. If the Dominion rises, every world will burn again." Leora looked toward the star. "Then let them. Perhaps the galaxy must burn before it can heal." A pulse of black energy spread through the chamber. The walls cracked. The star outside dimmed. Voss screamed, "She's destroying everything." Seren turned to Elias. "Get to the ship." "Now, what about you?" "I'll try to stop her." Elias grabbed her hand. "You'll die." Her eyes softened. "Maybe, but you raised your hand once." "Do it again," Elias craned. "Believe we can change the end." She pushed him toward the door as the light around her exploded. Elias ran, dragging Voss behind him. The bridge collapsed behind them, chunks of stone falling into the glowing abyss. The Sparrowhawk waited, engines screaming. As they lifted off, he looked back one last time. Inside the chamber, two figures of light faced each other, one gold, one black. The air rippled between them like a storm waiting to break, and then the entire structure began to shake. The architects had awakened, and the galaxy would never sleep again. The Sparrowhawk rose through clouds of golden dust as the world below cracked apart. The platform that had held the sleeping architects split like glass under fire. From the cockpit window, Elias could see it all. The ancient towers breaking, streams of light twisting around two figures locked in silent battle. One glowed gold. One glowed black, Seren and Leora, the sisters of creation, fighting not for power but for the right to shape the end. Captain Voss gripped the controls, her face pale. The planet's core is destabilizing. We have to leave, now. Elias didn't answer. He couldn't take his eyes off the storm below. She's still down there. Voss turned sharply. She told you to run. If we stay, we die, but Elias didn't move. She saved us twice. I'm not leaving her. The ship trembled as another explosion rippled through space. The star that had once glowed bright now flickered like a dying flame. Debris spiraled upward. Metal, stone, memory. The air itself seemed to cry. In the center of it, Seren floated, her golden light struggling against Leora's dark wave. Every strike shook the void. Their voices weren't words anymore. They were sound and storm. Elias closed his eyes. He could feel it, the pull, the weight, the pain. Seren was fading. He opened his eyes again. Open the rear hatch. Voss grabbed his arm. You'll never make it. Radiation's off the charts. I don't care, he said. I didn't raise my hand to watch her die. For a moment, Voss saw something in his eyes. The same courage that had once made humans cross the stars. She sighed. You've got 5 minutes. Elias stepped out into the blinding light wearing nothing but a thin pressure suit. The tether line held him to the ship as he drifted toward the chaos below. Space bent around him, pulling, twisting like the universe was breathing in pain. He could see Seren now, trapped in a vortex of dark energy. Leora's voice echoed like thunder. You bring them again, sister. You never learn. Serene's voice was weak but clear. Because I believe they can change. Leora's eyes blazed. They destroy everything they touch. Elias shouted, then let us prove you wrong. The two architects turned their gaze toward him. For an instant, the storm paused. The darkness hesitated. Leora stared. A human dares to stand between stars. Elias drifted closer. I don't care about gods or machines. I care about choice. If you burn the galaxy, you'll be no better than them. Seren whispered, Elias, go back. He shook his head. No, you told me to believe we could change the end. I'm here to do that. Leora raised her hand. A wave of shadow shot toward him. Cold, sharp, endless. But Seren moved faster, blocking it with her own light. The collision tore space open. A rip appeared behind them. A hole in reality, swirling with stars and colors Elias had never seen. Time itself screamed. Voss's voice crackled in his calm. Elias, the rift's pulling us in. He couldn't answer. The energy tore through his tether. He drifted free, weightless, falling toward the light. Seren reached for him and caught his hand. Their fingers touched. Everything froze. For a heartbeat, Elias saw inside her mind. The past of 1,000 worlds, the rise and fall of empires. Humans standing beside the architects, laughing, building, dreaming. He saw what they once were together, and then it was gone. Seren smiled faintly. You showed her the truth. What truth? Elias asked, barely breathing. That humans still reach for the impossible. She turned toward her sister. Leora, look at him. They still carry the spark we gave them. Leora's darkness flickered. The rage in her eyes softened. So small. And yet, the storm slowed. The rift began to shrink. Seren looked back at Elias. You must go now. I'll hold it closed. No. Come with me. She shook her head gently. I am the key and the lock. If I leave, everything breaks. Elias felt tears in zero gravity on small spheres floating away. Then what was all this for? For hope, she whispered. Because one human raised his hand. Her light flared one last time, wrapping around him like warmth before dawn. A force pushed him back toward the Sparrowhawk. He hit the airlock just as the portal closed. The sky turned white. When Elias woke, the star was gone. Only darkness remained, calm and silent. Voss stood beside him, eyes on the scanners. She's gone, isn't she? He nodded slowly. She saved everything. Outside the void shimmered. For just a second, Elias thought he saw a golden streak moving between the stars, like a shooting light across eternity. He smiled softly. Maybe she's not gone. Maybe she's just building again. 3 weeks after the storm, the Sparrowhawk drifted through calm space again. No more distortions, no black holes, no collapsing stars, and just the quiet hum of life. Elias sat alone in the cockpit, staring at the endless night. Every star looked sharper now, as if the universe itself had been cleaned. He hadn't slept much. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her. Siren fading into the light. Captain Voss entered quietly, a cup of steaming water in her hand. "You should rest," she said. Elias shook his head. "Every time I do, I hear her voice." Voss set the cup down. "We all do. Half the fleet's reporting strange dreams, golden cities, gates opening in the dark." He turned slowly. "Dreams?" She nodded. "Across human space. Every planet. Scientists say it's a shared signal, a pulse from the center of the galaxy, but I think it's her." The ship's scanner beeped softly. A new signal appeared on the edge of the map, small, steady, pulsing every 8 seconds. Voss frowned. "Another beacon?" Elias leaned closer. The pattern felt familiar. "No," he whispered. "That's her frequency." They followed the signal for hours. Stars blurred past. Then in the distance they saw it. A floating structure orbiting a young blue planet. It looked like a half-built station, its metal glowing faint gold. Voss read the markings aloud. "Station Genesis 01, no record of that in any chart." Elias smiled faintly. "Maybe it just got built." They landed. The airlock hissed open. Warm air, filled with faint light, greeted them. The walls were smooth, white gold, humming with quiet energy. It didn't feel like a ruin. It felt alive. Elias walked slowly down the corridor, his footsteps echoing. At the center stood a round chamber, a tall crystal spire rising from the floor. Symbols ran across it. The same designs he'd seen in Siren's ship, the same light. He touched it gently. The crystal responded, glowing brighter. Voss stepped back. "Elias, what's happening?" He didn't answer. The light wrapped around him. The air grew warm. A familiar voice echoed softly inside his mind. "Elias Crane. You found me again." His breath caught. "Siren?" "Not as before. My body is gone, but my code remains. I am the memory left behind, a seed of the architects." He closed his eyes. "You survived. In a way. I joined the Song of the Stars. But I left this for you." The spire projected an image, a map of the galaxy. Thousands of small lights blinked across it. Human colonies, outposts, forgotten stations. And slowly, one by one, each light began to turn gold. Everywhere humans live, the architect code awakens. Not to rule, to remind, to rebuild, Elias whispered. "You did it. You saved us." "No, you did. You chose to see me not as a weapon, but as a life." That choice reshaped the pattern. The light around him softened, becoming almost like a touch. The architects believed in creation. Humans believed in courage. Together you can write a new age. Voss watched in awe. "Elias, it's rewriting the data streams. It's spreading across networks faster than anything I've seen." "The Dominion's machines will find nothing left to rule," Siren's voice said. "Only unity, written in every signal." Elias looked up. "And you? What happens to you now?" "I'll stay where I belong, between stars watching. When the next voice dares to raise a hand, I'll guide them too." The light began to fade. Elias reached out. "Don't go. I never left. Every human who looks up and wonders already hears me." And then the chamber went still. Voss placed a hand on his shoulder. "She's part of everything now." Elias nodded slowly. "She always was." He turned toward the viewing window. Outside, the blue planet turned slowly, its clouds glowing gold in the sunlight. Below, small drones were already building, our bridges, towers, gates, the start of a new world. He smiled faintly. "We'll call it New Dawn." Voss grinned. "Fitting name." Elias sat down at the console, activating the recorder. "To whoever finds this," he began, voice steady. "This world began with a choice, to raise a hand when everyone else was afraid. Remember that courage builds more than fear ever can. Serene showed us that." He looked out once more at the stars glowing brighter than ever before. Somewhere he thought he saw a streak of gold move between them. Maybe it was just light. Maybe it was her. Either way, the galaxy felt alive again.